Hello Bookish friends, today I'm here with another tag video. This tag was originally created in a blog post. I will put the link of the post down in the description box. So this tag in Linda's channel, Linda's World of Books. She did not tag me in her video, but when I commented on her video, she said, Berna, you should do this tag as well. So I'm tagging you. So I consider myself tagged. This is a fun tag. I really enjoyed the questions. So let's get on with the tag questions. The first question is, author you read the most books from? I actually did a video about my most read authors, and it was Agatha Christie. I read a total of 43 books from her. Which was surprising even for me, because I did not know I had read so many books from her. So my answer is definitely Agatha Christie. Best sequel ever. I have two books for that question. First one is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I like all of the books in the Harry Potter series, but I especially like Half-Blood Prince because of its complexity and its emotion. And I really enjoyed the character development in that book. The second sequel that I'm going to talk about is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. It is the last book in Mistborn first era trilogy. It has one of the most surprising but also most fitting series endings that I have ever read. I liked how it combines theology, philosophy, world building, action, character development, all of them in just one book. So Hero of Ages is also a sequel that I really enjoyed more than the first book. The next question is currently reading. I'm currently body reading two books. I'm reading Descendants of the Crane by John Hay. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the surname correctly, but there will be a picture of the book in the video as usual, so you will see what I'm talking about. I'm reading this book with Natalie, and her channel is called The Sleepy Reader. She was one of my very first booktuber friends when I joined Booktube, and we seem to have a very similar taste. She also does a series of where she reviews Reese Witherspoon's book club picks, and Reese Witherspoon is also one of my favorite actresses, and we have this in common as well. And I have read many books from her book club, but I'm not as devoted to the club as Natalie is. The second book that I'm currently reading is Truly Madly Guilty by Liam Moriarty. I'm reading this book with Marissa Curtis. You should also check her channel, because although she reads more fantasy than me and almost never reads romance, there was a video duo of hers in which she talked about the things that she loves in books and the things that she hates in books, and I will link both of those videos down below as well. And I found myself nodding with her all the time. She became one of my closest friends in the booktube community. The next question is the drink of choice while reading. I prefer to drink coffee while reading, but I can also drink herbal tea and sometimes hot chocolate. The next question is e-reader or physical books. I read mostly e-books, but I actually prefer physical books. If I could get all of my books in physical format in Turkey, I would have preferred paperbacks, but since it is much more easier and more affordable to get e-books in Turkey, I mostly read e-book. For the letter F, the question is fictional character you probably would have actually dated in high school. It has been so many years, and I really cannot guess which character I would date. If I have to choose somebody, I would choose Ron Weasley from Harry Potter series. because he is the guy that I would get along with very well. In my personal life, I prefer to be friends before lovers. The next question is, glad you gave this book a chance. I'm going to say Wonder by R.G. Palacio. I was really afraid that I was going to cry a lot in this book because I thought that it would be much more sadder than the actual book is. When my nephew recommended to me, said that Auntie would like this book, and when Sarah said that she needed to read this for her courses where she had to read middle grade books, I made the step of saying, would you rather read this with me? I really did love the book. Although it was emotional, I did not cry as much as I thought I would. Because the book had so much hope, very lovable characters, and so far this book is my favorite book of 2009. Spoiler alert for my top 5 books that I read in 2019. Hidden Gem book. I'm also going to choose a book that I read this year for my book club. I actually picked this for us to read in our book club. I picked Late of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have read Ursula K. Le Guin before, but I have never read any book from her. And one of my friends in book club said that she writes very good science fiction, but she touches on the social matters. So I decided to choose one from her, so that we would read it all together, and I would be able to explore more into the author's work while presenting the book. I have heard of her series before, but I'd never heard of this standalone book. Although it won many literary prizes, it was a hidden gem book for me, and I'm so glad I read it. I gave it 5 stars. Important moment in your reading life. I think the discovery of a book series called Nancy Drew was the most important discovery of my reading life, because I have started reading detective books, which has become my favorite subgenre. Also, because I liked her works so much, because I liked the series so much, I developed the habit of reading. Aside from introducing me to my favorite subgenre, Nancy Drew series made reading a habit for me. So I think that was one of my most important moments in my reading life. I just finished Black Beauty by Anne Sewell. I listened to this as an audiobook. I liked the book, but I think it could have been shorter. It was interesting to read a book from a horse's point of view. It was really a good book to listen as an audiobook format, because it was a book that did not require much attention. Kind of books you won't read. Oh, never say never. The genre that I'm least likely to read is poetry books. I do not like lyrical writing in novels as well, so I really struggle with poetry, so that is my least favorite genre. Longest book you read, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I felt like I was reading 2 separate books when reading this book. There was a section which was the fiction section, and it was really good. Characters were developed really well. There was an overarching love story, and the other part was like a non-fiction book about war strategies, over the descriptive scenes of the war between Russia and France. I'm glad I read it, because I now know what the fuss is about. The next question is major book hangover because of Persuasion. Persuasion is one of my favorite books, although it is not in my top 3, as you will see in another question. I read the book, and when I watched the 1995 TV movie especially, I get a hangover from that amazing love letter. I get so emotional thinking about how beautiful that letter is. I also fell in love with Captain Wentworth again for a while. Fortunately, it does not last very long because it would be really hard for me to find somebody who writes like that or even speaks like that in the real world. But all jokes aside, Persuasion is a very dear book for me because of Captain Wentworth's love letter. Number of bookcases you own. I'm going to count all the bookcases in our house because I live with my parents, if you didn't know. We have 3 bookcases. One of them contains only my books. One of them contains only the books that my parents acquired, and one of them is a mix of both my books and their books. But I read from their books and they read from my books, so it is all our books. One book you have read multiple times. I have read And Then There Were None, I think 3 times. I like to reread it because of the psychology of the character and how it connects with the events in the book. And because it's a short book, I like to reread it sometimes when I feel like reading a good mystery. The next question is preferred place to read. I mostly read in metro train because I have an hour commute going to the work and an hour commute from coming to work. I can read books about 1.5 hours approximately every day. Quote that inspires you and gives you all the feels from a book. I actually read this book 2 months ago, but although the book was far from my favorite. The opening line of Charles Dickens' From A Tale of Two Cities, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I think it's one of the genius lines in the literature, and I think it summarizes the book very well as well. Reading regret. I'm going to say Casino Royale by Ian Fleming for that question. I had such high hopes for that book when I started reading it because although I am not the biggest fan of James Bond movies or anything like that, but I really enjoy the action and how intricate the details and the plots are in some of the movies, especially the later ones. But when I read Casino Royale, I found James Bond character to be one-dimensional, and I did not like Ian Fleming's writing style as well. Because it was a short book, I decided to finish it. Otherwise, I would have DNF'd it. Series you started and need to finish. Wow, that is my question. That is my question. I am so obsessed with finishing my series right now. I'm going to say the one series that I have most unread books from. Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I currently have 7 more books to read from that series. But I'm going to join Tia and Amanda's. I will link their channels down below and their announcement video as well. Read along. Reading all of the series in 2020. 3 of your all-time favorite books. Wow. The order changes all the time, but the top 3 did not change for a while, for some time. The first one is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. The second one is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. First one is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. They're all very well-known books. I'm not going to talk much about them. Otherwise, the video would be 1 hour long, and I don't think I would have the breath to do that. Although I'm much better, I'm still feeling the cold effects of the cold. So let's get on with the next question. Here comes a question which is really hard for me to read. Unapologetic fangirl for. I do not apologize for being a fan of historical romances. I love them. I really enjoy their wit, their sexiness, and how I can fly through them. Very excited for this release more than all the others. This question really does not apply for me because I'm a backlist reader most of the time, but since I read the last available book in Mistborn series, I think the next book which will come out, I think in 2021, is the book that I'm most anticipating. I'm not really sure what to say. Worst bookish habit. Well, my worst bookish habit is, I think that I cannot read series out of order, even if they are companion books. I like to read the series in orders, so sometimes I am so behind on series because of that, but that is something that I cannot change, so that I think that could be my worst bookish habit. X marks the spot. Start at the top of your left shelf and pick the 27th book. I forgot to bring the book with me. It is a short story book towards children, written by a Turkish classical author, Ömer Seyfettin. And the name of the book is called Yalnız Efe. I will put the picture of the cover as usual. It was one of the books that I have read as a child and really enjoyed. Your latest book purchase. I actually finished this book. I have mentioned this in some videos. I have a Turkish book application called Bookmate, which is similar to Script, I think. I pay a certain amount of fee every month, and I get free access to all the books in the server of that app. I can get the backlist Turkish books and some of the even new release English books from that application. It is one of my favorite applications because I pay about like $7 or $8 a month, and I can read as much as I like, which is wonderful, since I'm mostly reading in English from that application. So, the last question. Z Snatcher book. Last book that kept you up way late. I think it was Tough Customer by Sandra Bra. Because I was so close to finishing the book, I could not get to sleep, and I wanted to finish the book before getting to sleep. So those were my answers for A to Z Booktag. I'm so glad I did this. I actually mentioned many of the things that I did not mention in my other videos. I want to share my experiences and my feelings with all of you. I'm really glad Linda sort of tagged me. I'm going to tag all the people that have an A in their name or in their surname. So I think I'm going to tag a plenty of people. I have actually 4 A's in my name and surname. But even if you do not have an A in your name or surname, if you want to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged. That's what we always do. So please comment down below. What was the most important moment in your reading life? I'm really fond of anecdotes while watching videos. When booktubers tell anecdotes about their families and about their schools, about their libraries, I love those moments. I would really like to know if you have one of those. And you can comment down and answer any of the questions that you like as well, not just that question. And also, please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, because the longest book that I have read was War and Peace, I'm going to choose peace as our Turkish word of the day. Peace means barış in Turkish, and barış is our Turkish word of the day. Fun fact, barış is a very common name among men in Turkey. Have a good day. Bye.